Hello and welcome to Community Conversations. We are coming to you today from the Hillsboro Hops Ballpark, and we're here with Hillsboro Fire Chief David Downey. Welcome, Chief. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you believe this park?
Yeah, it looks great.
This is incredible. And you sitting here with me makes me appreciate that you are not out on an emergency.
Right.
You are here chilling out. That's great. So congratulations on opening Fire Station 9.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about how that was, how that went for you, how the community responded?
Yeah, we had a great community event about 10 days ago where we opened the fire station, invited the community in and let them learn about their new fire department, meet their new firefighters, and at the same opportunity got to let them know that it's more than just a fire station.
Yeah. Well, tell me more about that. What more is it?
Sure. Yeah, no, exactly. First city facility built down in South Hillsboro. I mean, there's lots of other parks and such, but first standing facility. Police has a presence in the building. Obviously, the city's getting much larger, and their facilities are more on the north end of town, so it's an opportunity for the police department to share a public safety facility with us. One of the things we're proud of, too, is the building division. The building was designed to be resilient. And if we have a natural disaster, the building division can stand up their department operations center. That allows them to train and be prepared and respond in any disaster situation we might have.
Yeah, that's great. So it's not just fire.
Not just fire.
Yeah.
Future plans for a self-service library as well.
Right.
Oh, big campus.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a little mini library right there, right?
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. So you were talking about the community and different services. How do you think the community is connecting with you all down there so far?
Well, we estimated we had about 2,500 people at the open house.
Really?
Yeah, last weekend, and it was a great turnout. They had lots of great questions about the fire department, and they didn't realize we'd been open about 6 weeks. We kind of had a soft opening, it was a great, lots of community involvement, lots of questions about the fire department and the city in general. Library, police, public works, emergency management were all at the tour, so we really got to show off more of the city services than just fire and rescue.
Yeah, and well, for example, you were talking about the building, right? The department, and yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. So you also mentioned, they will have a police presence there, but there's also a secret well.
There
is that right?
There
or
is.
a not so secret.
Not so secret well. Yeah, the building was actually built to be self-sustaining for 3 weeks. So if we were to have a natural disaster and municipal water supply were compromised, we could continue to supply the station continuously with water. We try to fill up the fire trucks without compromising the water that's needed as drinking water if we have a real disaster. And then, of course, we do have a fueling station, which is part of the city's disaster preparedness plans to fuel up vehicles as we need to drive them. And that also supplies our generator, which can run the station and that department operations center for up to 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of thought and design into the resiliency and sustainability of that building.
Yeah. You know what strikes me as we're talking about this is the teamwork that goes into this. It's not just fire.
Not just fire.
It's not just public works or buildings. It's not just police, right? You have water involved too. You have library involved as well.
Yeah.
How do y'all feel about the teamwork down there?
No, it's great. I mean, the information services is going to have a presence in the building as well.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about a full service city, having the fire station just happened to be the first facility. We're welcoming everybody from the city. It really is a true city facility, not just a fire station.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate us talking through that so everybody can learn that. But then when you go down and you tour it and you see it, it kind of hits home. So we've talked about teamwork. We've talked about working with other departments. Can you talk about how this department, or not department, but how did this building get paid for? Because it's nice.
A lot of the work that's involved, and I'm not the expert at all on economic and community development, but the initiatives that the city has had and the goals that you and the council set that result in economic development went a long way toward the funding and construction of that fire station. We didn't have to raise any taxes. We didn't have to ask the community for more.
That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't have to say we need to raise, even the local folks in South Hillsboro, like, oh, well, you get this fire station, so we're raising your taxes. None of that had to happen.
Correct.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So something else you pointed out to me when you gave me a tour of the fire station was how it was centered on wellness. Do you mind talking a little bit about some of the features?
No, thanks, Mayor, for asking that. That's
Yeah.
that was one of the important design features of the particular building. It's kind of in two phases, right? I mean, obviously, some of the work we do can get dirty, lots of contaminants, carcinogen exposure, for example. The firefighters and their equipment get dirty. We like to have this sort of healthy in, healthy out approach to work. When they return to the fire station, they've already done like a gross decontamination of themselves and their equipment on scene, but it's not enough. It's just enough to safely travel back to the fire station. We built a decontamination corridor. It's the first one like it in any of our fire stations. They can offload their gear. They can immediately put it into laundry facilities. We have a brand new equipment washer. We've never really had anything to wash the boots and the helmets and like the breathing apparatus. So we have a new piece of equipment to really get all the carcinogens and all the nasty stuff, right, off of the firefighters and off of their equipment. They proceed through the station. If they need to take a shower to decontaminate themselves further, they can. We're lucky enough to have 2 sets of personal protective equipment per firefighter.
That's great.
So they can grab a clean set of gear, get right back in the engine, and be healthy and back in service right away.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
And having that second set of gear means one set can be in the process of being cleaned and decontaminated.
Exactly. Yeah. So we don't have any downtime or out of service time. We can get right back in service with all the equipment we need. And then the other element, not only about that part of their health and wellness, but about their mental health and wellness. The station's specifically designed with lots of ability to see natural light. You can see outdoor spaces. We don't want the firefighters returning from what can be a traumatic call. We see a lot of things that can be disturbing, right. And we wouldn't be honest with ourselves if we weren't talking about the real impact that has on all emergency responders. The ability to come back to a station that is bright, well lit with daylight. The color schemes through the station were intentional. There's a lot of welcoming spaces in that station where they can relax and still be together, but it doesn't look like they're just walking into an industrial building, which, previous generation of fire stations look very industrial. This does not.
The metal, right? Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That metallic, yeah. I noticed the cross-laminated timber that goes throughout the station, even in the bay.
Yep.
So people are feeling comfortable.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
That theme of light and color throughout the station was very much to create an environment where they feel safe and they feel as though that they can relax and sort of recover and get ready for whatever might be next.
Yeah. And so speaking of that, that it takes people to do this work. You can have the building and the engines and all that and the equipment, but you need the people to actually put it into use.
Absolutely.
And so how are we staffing out this station? How is that looking?
Yeah, the station was built to eventually one day house up to as many as 11 firefighters. It opened with 4, so an engine company, Engine 9, staffs that station, 4 firefighters there, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. One officer who's in charge of the station and the crew, the engineer, which they drive and are responsible for all the equipment, and then 2 firefighters, one of which will always be a paramedic, and at minimum is that they're all EMTs. 80 to 85% of what we do is emergency medicine. So EMTs and 1 paramedic, 24 hours a day in that brand new part of the community.
That's fantastic. And we were talking a little bit about funding before. So decades of economic development have enabled the city to be able to invest in a building like this. It serves not just the fire and rescue department, but all departments and all the folks in South Hillsboro. But then we have the local option levy, right? And the local option levy also helps pay for these services and the people.
And
right?
the people,
yeah.
Along with the fire station, had to buy a brand new fire engine and hire 15 firefighters. Yeah. So
I heard firefighters are expensive. Y'all are expensive.
Everything about us is expensive. The equipment's expensive.
Right. The training.
The training's expensive. Yeah.
Right.
There's no shortage of need for funding for the fire and rescue department.
Yeah. Well, and I'm proud to say that the local option levy has continually passed with great support. I think the last time was 83% that the local option levy passed, which is just a testament of how the community feels about you and your team and other folks that are in public service.
Yeah.
So
No, we're
public
so
safety.
Yeah, we're so appreciative of the community and their ongoing support for us. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, their turnout last weekend to visit the fire station. I mean, we were a little worried, right? We can be noisy, lights and sirens, and we're 24 hours a day. we were a little concerned about our how welcome we might be in the community.
Yeah, right.
And it was
the loud
just
neighbor.
the loud, noisy
Yeah.
neighbor, right?
Yeah.
Not that at all. They were really excited about having us in their community, and we're equally excited to be there.
Yeah, I was blown away by the turnout too. It's just, yeah, it's inspiring.
It really was. We
Yeah.
were really thrilled.
Yeah. Well, you also have cool stuff to show off too, right?
That's true. Yeah.
So we were talking about people, right, and a great staff. So I understand that Fire Station 9 was built with some intentionality around health, which we talked a little bit about. Can you tell me a little bit about the rooms that they have? Because I noticed that they're not in a big bay. You know, when I wasn't in the fire service, but when I was in the military service, we had big bays.
Yeah.
And in the past, the fire service has had that, just a big barracks kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you talk a little about the rooms?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, right, as we diversify our workforce, having locker room style bathrooms and locker room style sleeping quarters just wasn't conducive to the modern workforce. You need more privacy. You need your individual spaces. So the restrooms were all built as, you know, gender neutral. It's a standalone facility. You enter that space. It's bathroom, shower. You clean up. It's private, and you move on. Bunk rooms are the same way. Rather than have beds and lockers in a big style open room, privacy is important. And so, yeah, we've talked a long time in the fire service about how important it is for the firefighters to stay together, because they do everything together. Part of the common station design back in the day was you kept these wide open spaces so they could never get away from one another. But what we're trying not to do is where when they get back from a call, they go into these spaces like their bunk room, which is now private, and they close the door and they don't hang around with one another. The camaraderie not only builds teamwork, like you mentioned, but it does help with their health and wellness, as they can see how each other is doing and maybe coping with what was a difficult call. So very intentional, the spaces. They're not isolated, but they're there for separation when it's needed.
Right, so they can have privacy when they want, and they can be in community when they want.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yep.
I'm what's called an ambivert, right? So I'm not fully extroverted, I'm not fully introverted.
Okay.
I need a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And so when you were showing me those spaces, I was just like, yes,
Yep.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
For people who just need a little private time.
Yeah, exactly.
So
right.
That's awesome. So I know that the station was also built with sustainability in mind. Can you talk to some of the sustainability elements that went into it?
Sure. Yeah, we mentioned the well and the generator. Yeah, we're built to be there for the long haul, right? Fire stations are supposed to last 40 to 50 years, but it's just such a well-designed building and well-built building. The sustainability there, top notch. We like the well can provide a continuous water supply if we have a disaster. The generator can run for 3 weeks. It's just having the building division have its own area. I mean, what the building division will do is their job is, like if we have a Cascadia or a large earthquake, their job is to do damage assessment. Their inspectors will fan out through the city and really let us know what buildings are destroyed, major, minor damage. And so it allows us as a city to prioritize where we need to send our resources in order to respond and recover. That's just part of the larger sort of resiliency and sustainability that's built in that station, the ability to do that kind of work.
That's incredible. Wow. It was inspiring to get the tour. It's inspiring to talk to you now, to hear about all the planning that went into it. I really appreciate you joining us today. Not only talk about the fire and rescue, but also Station 9 and the addition it's bringing to the city of Hillsboro. Yeah. So thank you, Chief. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for joining us today for Community Conversations. Have a great day.